Namaste friends. Our topic for today is practicality. And it's one of those topics which at first we don't really understand what's the need for it, especially in our spiritual growth. But by the end of our discussion, you'll understand. I hope it'll help you understand why this is also, like all the other topics, a vital aspect that we need to understand on our spiritual journey. So let's see what Swami Kriyananda ji has written in the book Affirmations for Self-Healing on Practicality. He writes, many spiritual seekers and others with high ideals lose sight of the need to make their idealism practical. Many even resent the suggestion that they try to put an ideal into practice, as though the very effort to do so would mean somehow lessening its purity. But God is no idle dreamer. Were the universe not kept in a state of perfect balance, chaos, not harmony, would be the common state. We too should be practical in our idealism. Life, to be ever expansive, must be a search for truth. Will it work is the preliminary question to is it true? The test of an ideal is whether it is practical or not. By practicality, we mature from the state of idle dreaming to become emissaries of the truth. And here Swami Kriyananda ji is highlighting that when we are trying to live by high spiritual principles or higher ideals, there can often be a tendency to ignore the present reality instead of working with it to adapt the ideal to bring it into manifestation. And I was often thinking, when I think about practicality, the Gita often comes to my mind because it has such high divine truths, but these truths are applicable to every aspect of our lives in a way that I haven't seen any other scriptural text to be. And the scriptures that are true, all true scriptures, the Bible, the Gita, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, all of these scriptures state the truth, and that which is the truth is true on every level of reality. And that is why Swami Kriyananda ji says that the test of an ideal is its practicality. And that is what we need to keep in mind. Yogananda ji often told Swami Kriyananda to be practical in one's idealism. And in his autobiography, The New Path, Swami Kriyananda ji writes about the same tendency. He said, Master never sanctioned an irresponsible denial of mundane realities. You should combine idealism with practicality, he once told me. In down-to-earth matters, he himself was completely practical. He taught us the importance of meeting every reality on its own level. 1 minute, he might be instructing us in some fine point of meditation, and the next, telling us how to keep our rooms tidy. Yogananda ji, as a fun fact, often would tell his students to put away everything as soon as you finish with it. And Swami Kriyananda ji jokingly said that it's just too much work. But you see, Yogananda ji was setting an example that even though we are living this life of spiritual dedication, we should not let the quote-unquote mundane realities pass our attention. If you have read the Autobiography of a Yogi, in the chapter The Experience of Cosmic Consciousness, when Yukteswar ji, Yogananda's guru, gives him the experience of Samadhi, the experience is described so vividly in the autobiography, in the book, that I highly urge you to read it or reread it. And after that phenomenal experience, what does Sri Yukteswar do? He hands a broom to Yogananda ji and says, "Come, let's sweep the balcony floor." And I'm paraphrasing the words of Sri Yukteswar, but he said that he was teaching his disciple that even though the mind is soaring in the skies of infinite freedom, our body should perform the duties of this world without being inwardly affected. And that is how we bring idealism into practical day-to-day realities. I remember hearing a story about how Swami Kriyananda ji started the community, spiritual community, which is today known as Ananda Sangha. And this was part of the great work that his guru commissioned him to do. But at the beginning, even though he knew how strongly Yogananda ji commented on the need for spiritual communities or world brotherhood colonies, as he called it himself, Swami Kriyananda was very mindful of where people are or where people were at that point of time. And where they were was simply at a point where they couldn't yet appreciate the need for a spiritual community. And so Swami Kriyananda had students. He had taken an apartment in San Francisco and teaching, and he could have enforced the idea on them and said that, this is what my guru said, this is what I believe in, and it is true, and so let's go gather, buy land, and make a spiritual community. But he did not do that. He never enforced his ideas on others, because even though he might have known that that idea is true, that it's based on a higher principle or a higher ideal, it still needs to be accepted by other people. And they have to come to that level of understanding of their own accord. And if they are not yet there, one can do nothing but wait or slightly, urge them to expand their horizons, their understanding, right? And even in the later years of Ananda, working with so many people, Swamiji, when he would have an idea, he would never enforce it on anyone. He would wait for others to meet him on that level, and he would see if people are ready to accept that idea. And if the community wasn't behind the idea, Swamiji wouldn't emphasize on it too much. He would suggest it, but then that's all he would do, and he would leave it to others to come to that level of understanding from where he had suggested that particular idea. And in many ways, that is the unique path that Yogananda ji brought. Balancing practicality with idealism is one of the key hallmarks of the path that we follow. And if you as a seeker are also attracted to this path, it's well worth introspecting whether your life is following the same template. Because the path that Yogananda ji brought was not a path where we just embrace a high ideal, let's say, of self-realization and go to the mountains and try to meditate and becoming one with the divine. And while that's a valid path for some people, it is not the path that he brought or exemplified with his own life. He spent his life being intensely active for God. And if you go through Yogananda's life, you will see just the immense amount of service to God that he performed as a way of bringing this teaching out, the teaching of Kriya Yoga to the West, as he was commissioned by his guru and by Mahavatar Babaji. And he also told Swami Kriyananda that your life is going to be one of intense activity and meditation. And I often think that in saying that to Swami Kriyananda, he was actually saying that to all of us, that this is the path that you all have to follow, at least in this incarnation. And that is how we learn to balance the idealism, the high spiritual ideals that we know to be true, that we want to live by, but also taking into account the practical aspects of life and meeting people where they are, reaching out to them where they are, wherever they are in their soul's journey to self-realization, wherever they are in their understanding, and then bringing them up bringing them up instead of neglecting their present understanding and enforcing a higher truth upon them. So that is the path, that is the model that we have to follow for our lives, to balance service and meditation, to serve God and others, and then to love God deeply in meditation. That's the life that Yogananda ji led. That's the life of practicality which Swami Kriyananda also led. And that's the life which is in store for all of us as well. So now let's affirm together this affirmation on practicality by Swami Kriyananda. And first, let's center ourselves, close our eyes, gaze uplifted behind closed eyes, and repeat after me with a lot of energy. Though my spirit soars in the skies of consciousness, my feet and hands labor here on earth to make truth real to all. Though my spirit soars in the skies of consciousness, my feet and hands labor here on earth to make truth real to all. And now, in a whisper, taking it deep into the subconscious mind, repeat with me. Though my spirit soars in the skies of consciousness, my feet and hands labor here on earth to make truth real to all. Though my spirit soars in the skies of consciousness, my feet and hands labor here on earth to make truth real to all. And now mentally only gazing deeply at the point between the eyebrows, absorb these words mentally as I say them out loud, and let them sink into your superconscious mind, making this change permanent, a permanent part of your reality. Though my spirit soars in the skies of consciousness, my feet and hands labor here on earth to make truth real to all. Though my spirit soars in the skies of consciousness, my feet and hands labor here on earth to make truth real to all. Though my spirit soars in the skies of consciousness, my feet and hands labor here on earth to make truth real to all. Let those words and the vibration behind those words sink in deeply. And now offer also a silent prayer from your heart. Let not my thoughts lift me up through beautiful clouds of imagined possibilities, unless you give me the power also to materialize my dreams. Joy to you, my friends.